Welcome to Voices of Service. It's a new podcast conversation. It's a series honoring those who have answered the call to serve humanity. Each episode is a 1-hour exchange. We explore the origin story behind each unique person's work. And especially, I'm interested in the moment of yes, the inner journey, including the hard parts, the parts that made no sense, and the parts that required everything of you. The transformation that came and the living wisdom that you carry for those who are listening. So, welcome, Terri.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you for inviting me. This is exciting. I just love what you're doing, and I really appreciate your mission. Known you a long time, and I've always honored your yeses along the path. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah. So tell me all about you, Terri. I know, again, this is going to be a wonderful conversation and yet a different kind of conversation because you and I are usually so spontaneous with one another. And yet here we're going to go back and ask you to sort of go back in history a bit and tell people about yourself.
Okay, well, thanks. It's funny. I just recently got a message that there is nothing in the past. The past is gone, right? To have no energy in the past. So here we are now speaking about my past. So I have to really dive deep in that. And I would actually go back to my birth because of the stories that my mother shared with me my whole life. She called
Mm.
her miracle baby. My mother had a very difficult birth with me. I was the third child, and the doctor was going on vacation, and he wanted to have this baby. So he induced her labor, and she wasn't ready. It's kind of interesting because I've always been pushed, right, from spirit from behind. I look at that now going, oh, that makes a lot of sense. Spirit has always pushed me forward. So I'm going to process that one later. And so my mother struggled, and my oxygen was cut off every minute. I had an oxygen deficiency. She didn't know if I would survive. She was in extreme amount of pain and discomfort. And so she always told me that she prayed. My mother was a strong Christian woman. And she said, God, this is your child. I dedicate this child to you. I can't do this anymore. And I was born. And she always called me that I always have this special connection to the source, God, whatever name you want to call it. And it has been miraculous, and I have been led. And it's so in that journey, I was the third girl.
Mm.
And my father, of course, always wanted a boy. And here I am coming in as the third girl. And in that process, I think I was alone a lot, especially when my brother was finally born a few years later. And I spent a lot of time alone. Especially I was, my sisters went to school earlier than I did and all. And so I spent a lot of time under a tree. I had a weeping willow tree that I really connected with. I used to eat dirt as a child. I was that connected to the earth until my mother said, there's probably worms in there. And I thought, oh, my one aversion in life is worms. So I stopped eating dirt, but I loved to eat dirt. I loved sitting with that tree. I made songs for the trees. So I think that was my home for me, my true connection to God. And God has been many things in my life. Source has been many things. Strong Christian background. So I was very dedicated to the church, youth groups. I went door to door visitation in my teenage years, worshiping God and preaching the Bible. But I always remembered things that didn't make sense. Like I remembered Egypt. I remembered the first time I ever put eyeliner on at the age of 14. I went way out. And it was just so natural. And I've worn my eye makeup like that every since. I felt that connection to Isis and that culture. I remember the pyramids. There was things I remembered about that. And I always wanted to go to Machu Picchu in Peru. I remember when I read about Atlantis and the Bermuda Triangle and things like it was my report. My graduation report is my report on the Bermuda Triangle. So I can't ever say that there was a moment where I truly felt that spark, because it's happened my whole life. Many times I would run up to the church to get born again and saved. I would feel the call. I'd feel this Holy Spirit coming through me. And I'd be like running up there again. I'm like, haven't you been saved, the preacher? Haven't you been saved already? I'm like, yeah, but I want to do it again. I would think probably a good thing, because I definitely had a lot of adventures that I needed to be saved from. So I would say my life has been very organically changed and moved. A lot of pain, a lot of loss in relationships, lost in friendships, lost in places and identities. I would say my identities were the most profound letting go of who I was or thought I was, because I'd feel this prompt inside of me. I've always had that inner compass. I couldn't tell you why. I never understood. I didn't hear, oh, this is so and so coming through you, like Archangel Michael or whatever. I never got that name. I don't hear a voice, but it's this inner voice, this inner knowing. And I think actually you once told me it's cognitive knowing.
Yes.
And that cognitive knowing, and I know listeners out there who wonder why or who. They're always looking, no, I shouldn't say always, but have a tendency to look for that identity of the source,
Yes.
that name, that guide, the whatever. And that I finally come to peace in myself that is me, the I am. And if I listen to my I am, I'm listening to the source, because nothing outside of us can really direct us. We can get prompted and inspired, which is what I find is my path. I get inspired and then I go toward it. And I find that if I put a lot of thinking, and I would say this to anybody, my knowing, if I put a lot of thinking to something and see the big picture, try to see the big picture, it's not my path. I've done so many random things that the outside world, my friends, my family have thought, you are crazy. What are you doing? Or, right? Or they judge you and say, oh, so you're going to quit that? Oh, you're not going to fulfill this part, or you're going to move again, or you're going to divorce again, or separate out again. And as I judged myself through some of that, I always knew that I was living in magic, that there is no judgment. And nobody else can judge you, because they're judging you on their own fear, their own insecurities, So I have come to really understand that when I have no clue why I'm doing something, I really don't. Like, I'll just feel this energy pushing me and pushing me, and I just let go and surrender and trust. Then I end up where I need to be, and it's magical. Yeah, there's fear involved. There's natural human emotions that come up. But I've come to recognize that the emotional body probably has a lot less data room, like if you were a computer, than the spiritual body or the mental body. The emotional body, it only has this little teeny piece that you can fulfill. And so we're constantly generating the same emotions because it's not expanded. It's very limited. And when those emotions keep coming up, I'm like, okay, it's just more data I got to just expel, because my spiritual data is massive and it's unlimited, and it's constantly flowing in. And when I have learned to truly trust that, the magic happens. It truly is. So my connection to the source is visceral. It's so part of who I am. and it's a part of everybody. But when you don't let the outside world dictate to you what they want you to be or how they want you to show up, then you're free. Then you're really free. And it's taken me a
It's
long time.
a
Right?
wonderful feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's taken a long time to not care what others think of me. And I was judged young because I was very attractive in my younger years. And I was judged for that. Oh, you're going to be the cutest of all the girls in your family, and blah, blah, blah. And so, as a young person, you look at that and really realize that that's supposed to dictate your life. And I tell that to any adult now. Don't constantly tell her how cute she is. It's so limiting.
Yes, it really is.
And we do it all the time. Oh, she's so cute. That's such a cute dress, blah, blah, blah. I'd like to tell them, you are so smart. You are so funny. You're so exciting. What are you going to do today? Like, look at those things. I know I can ramble on about these things, but so yeah, letting go, knowing when the time was complete, and you can feel it. You just know it's complete. And it's sometimes there's a time process because there's other people involved, other things, other work, other whatever that is, creations you got to close the door with. But as you keep moving forward, no,
Yes.
you know, there's an elephant. You can take one bite of the elephant at a time. Not that I'm eating any elephants, because I'm not eating them.
Well, that's such a great analogy and sharing eating the elephant one bite at a time, because I've seen you leapfrog. You're one of the most decisive people I've ever met in terms of following your intuitive knowing. So talk with us about that. How has your life evolved? The more that you trust, what's actually happening? Are things happening faster? Are you getting your intuition more clearly? Like, what's really going on there?
I've had a lot of change and I've let go of a lot of creations. So what happens is something becomes so uncomfortable in my body. So I started my career and I knew it from the time I was a child that I was going to go into the hair business. I was going to be a hairdresser. I used to have those dolls. My mother said, you stop cutting the doll's hair off. I mean, even after my father passed away and I went through his attic, there was one of those big headed dolls that we used to pull the hair out that I
Sure.
had attic as a child, and there was chunks of hair inside. So grow the hair. Yeah, mom says it was one of those grow the hair so I can cut it again. Doll. So I wanted to do that. So I in high school was very lucky. I could take cosmetology 3 periods a day. So I did that. By the time I was 17 years old, I was a licensed hairdresser.
Oh, wow.
And
That's early.
yeah, it was really early. I got pregnant at 17 as well. And I had my first son right out of high school.
Mm.
And that was a funny thing because I met him. He was a Christian. I met him at Liberty Baptist College, visiting school, and got pregnant the first time. And I didn't believe in alternatives, so I had that child, and we got married, and so that was a whole life ago. I became a mother at 18 and a wife. I was a hairdresser, which was the greatest career. I did it for 30 years, did very well for myself. And in that, it allowed me freedom. It allowed me to work the hours I needed to work. It supported my family when my son's father and I split apart because obviously at 18, 17, 18, you don't really pick the right choice. And
That's true.
I had a lot of excitement in me, and he was a wonderful man, still is today, a very kind man, but very this. And if I wanted
Steady Eddie.
Steady Eddie, and if I wanted that in my life, he would have been a beautiful partner. But I think I came in this world in this lifetime to experience as much as I possibly could. That's when I stopped judging myself because I've been married 4 times. That was my number 1. I'm ending my number 4. All wonderful men. Good marriages on most part of it, I would say. Good friends. But I just felt something in me. It's like, this is one of my problems. For every opportunity is another one lost.
Mm.
And I see so much potential in so many things. And in the human
Yes.
design, I am a projector, so I see big pictures. It's a little hard to stay steady Eddie. I'm not here in this world to be that. I'm here to make ripples.
Yeah.
I work through the violet flame comes through me. I'm a transformer, an activist, and I will make ripples when I move into a room, like it or not. I mean, it's not always pleasant. So that's again a lot of self-acceptance and non-judgment, because when I do follow those prompts, opportunities show up. I'm always supported. You see it in so many things, and I could tell you lots of stories with that. But so doing the hair business started me and allowed me a lot of freedom. And then, long story short, after I separated from my third husband, probably, I was really guided to come to the beach. I reconnected with Dave, who was my boyfriend at the age of 17 from California. After 30 years, he reconnected with me. He reached out to me. He came to visit, and it just felt right. When I went to the beach just for a vacation after Christmas, we looked at each other and I said, let's move here. And that was Virginia having a very successful career. I made really good money and working 3 days a week. I had a lot of freedom. I had a great spiritual community that I was doing a lot of work with. I was hosting Monday night healing sessions. I did your work with you every month. And it just felt like, why not? That's the funny thing, Carol. I don't know if you remember in a group, you passed out these little cards for everybody to pick. And I picked the why not card.
Oh, wow.
And the whole group started laughing because that's always been my motto, why not?
Uh-huh.
And it literally changed my life. Risky Business, that movie.
Oh, yeah.
And he said, what's the worst that's going to happen to you? Are you going to die?
I know.
That line changed my life. Because what is the worst that's going to happen? If you choose something different, why not? Is it going to kill you? And if it doesn't, change it again. If it's
Yeah.
working for you.
Yeah. Letting go of that risk, that deep getting out of the sand pit and just allowing yourself to flow.
Exactly. And in fact, this next phase, and I'll just tie into the why not real quick.
Uh-huh.
So I'm being guided to go to Mexico to live for 3 months, going through my divorce. And it's not, at first I thought, well, maybe I just need a new change. Maybe I'm doing this for distraction. But when I went originally and connected to the water, and we'll go into my connection to water, because that is to me God. And it's got the consciousness. It's that is my world, the water world. And we'll definitely dive into that. And so I went with a friend to Acapulco, and then we went for a retreat, and then we went to Bacalar, Mexico. That I kept feeling spirit pull me to Bacalar. It's a lagoon of 7 colors. I'm like, I gotta see it. I got to experience. I gotta be in that colored water. And when I got there, I fell in love with it. Absolutely. And all these little signs would come up because I kept feeling subconsciously, I'm gonna live here. And my girlfriend that I was with, she's like, kept asking people, oh, do you know a place to live for her? And I'm like, and it kept opening up doors. Oh, yes, I have this condo I just finished. Oh, I have this. I had all these opportunities. But one night we went to this restaurant that we have to go to this restaurant. We walked a long way to get to Mr. Taco or something. And they have these long tables there. And people all sit together. And they put this group of women, young women, that were staying at a youth hostel down beside us and our table. And we start talking and joking around with them. And I started saying, well, God gave me the why not card. And I'm going to get a tattoo and joke and say, ¿por qué no? Because we're in Mexico. I'm going to get to say, ¿por qué no? Why not? Even though I'm trying to learn Spanish. And the one young woman sitting at the end of the table says, look. And she opens up her arm. Why not?
Oh, wow.
Tattooed on her arm.
Wow.
And I looked at that. I'm like, and I said, when's your birthday? Her birthday is the same day as mine.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's magic right there.
That's
Synchronicity.
magic. That's magic. And
Yeah.
my Dave, who started the Mermaid Castle with me, which was an incredible creation when I left the hair business and I opened the Mermaid Castle retail store down at Carolina Beach because Spirit just said, why not?
Yep.
When I saw this open space right there on Main Street, and when the owner came to ask me what I was going to do there, what do you want the space for? I remember going, I don't know. I don't know exactly, because my goal was to keep going back to Virginia to do hair, do massage. I was a massage therapist too, and do my work and connect with my people once a month at least and have the money so I could just live at the beach. And when that came open, that plan just fell through. I didn't go back ever again to Virginia. I didn't do one client. I never did one haircut again.
Wow.
And I said, why not? Why not take this space? In fact, not just this one. Let's take the one next to it too. And commit to bigger space and open it up. And so I would go to yard sales and pick up things and resell that. And then it just grew. It became one of the best, biggest stores. And we did phenomenal numbers. It was a phenomenal space. And then Dave did pass away. And I continued to do this business. So Dave, and his last name was Castle. So I was the Mermaid Castle because I was always a mermaid. He is wanted by one of my angels. So while we were in Bacalar, another night while we were walking, I wanted to go to this restaurant. I was hungry. And my friend was like, oh, I don't want to eat. I'm like, I'm hungry. It's like 7:30 at night. She wasn't eating much. I'm like, I want to eat some food. Can we go to that place down the street? It's like 300 feet, or, supposedly. So she said, all right. So we started walking down our street on our side of the road, but the restaurant was across the street. And I said, well, here, let's cross here to this little medium. So we crossed. And I looked down, just happened to look in the grass, and there was a $500 peso.
Huh.
Like, what? And I picked
That's
it up.
wild.
And that was one of the largest bills that we had there, which was about 500 pesos, about $28. So I'm looking at it. It looks like Monopoly money, for us Americans. And I'm looking at it and is this real? And I said, well, dinner's on me. So we get to the restaurant and we're sitting there. And some reason we start talking about people in our life, our partners, what their birthdays, what their astrological sign is. And I said, I can't remember what Dave's is. I can't remember his birthday. I can't believe it. And we were engaged. I mean, he was my fiance. And so she looked up his obituary while we were sitting there and looked up his birthday. And it was June 24th. And I said, hang on a second. And I pulled out that $500 peso. And the date was June 24th.
Oh, geez.
2011, which was the day of 2011 is when we moved to the beach and opened that store.
Wow, Terri. Wow. I love that. It's sort of like a message from the higher realms, from your dearly beloved. Wow, that's incredible. I love synchronicities like that.
That's when you know you're on the right path.
Yes.
And that's what I think and people say, there's so much, there's so many doors that close, or there's so many things that are interference, right, in life. And I feel like sometimes it is protection. It keeps you from, sometimes it is. How badly do you want it though?
Yeah.
Do you really want it that bad? You're going to go through it. So sometimes it's an internal conflict.
Yeah.
I always assume there's a negative force or a dark force out there trying to stop us from expanding. Is it really?
Is there the internal resistance?
Right. How badly do you want to test yourself? Look, an initiate, true mastery walks up that mountain. True mastery doesn't come easy.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're going to be challenged. And I've had a lot of my challenges. But at the same time, when you have such a belief system in yourself and in spirit and in destiny, because my mother always told me, you're destined. You came into this world destined because you fought so hard to be here.
What a blessing that you had that affirmation from your mother too at such an early age, and she probably reminded that throughout of that very fact in her belief system, that you have a destiny, that you are a miracle child, a miracle of God consciousness here on earth.
Yeah. Yeah. She called me her joy.
Aw.
My sister was her heart. My other sister, we won't talk about exactly what she said there, but
there's always one sibling in the mix there,
yeah.
because we're all balancing our roles out. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. No, she loved her too, but it was different. It's a different
Sure.
relationship. But I was her joy. I always made her laugh. You know, that what kept me out of trouble too. When I got in trouble, it was a lot easier. I learned
Yeah,
that
really.
as a wild thing. I learned that at a young age. Have a good sense of humor. Parents won't be so angry.
For sure, for sure. So here you are, you're in Mexico, you get a sign, and then what?
Well, and then what? Well, when opportunities present themselves, and we met this nice gentleman at this restaurant who was painting a brand new condo for someone who's getting ready to rent it. And he people are very friendly there. I mean, you give their number, your WhatsApp number, and they contact you really. And so they actually follow through. Not like that here always, but they follow through. And so we met with the owner of this condo. We looked at it and the price was reasonable. And I'm like, what's holding me here in Virginia? I mean, not even in Virginia, North Carolina. Wow. I'm in North Carolina now for the last 13 years. So what's holding me here? I mean, nothing really. So why not? So we looked at it and I said, okay, made a deal with them. And I was going to rent that place because why not? And you don't like it, you can always come back.
Sure.
But then the young woman that I became friends with there, she did these water healings, water ceremonies. We just connected. Her and her partner is from Persia. We connected on a really deeper level immediately because, again, I'm always supported. Always supported. People show up around me that need to be there.
Yes.
That's part of the magic too. I'm always have that connection. That spirit always brings people in to flank me and give me a little more security. So she sent me a message after we got back and said, hey, I found this other place that we might move into. There's another unit there. And she sent me a video and it's open for 3 months. Do you want it? And I'm like, yep, there you go. So now her and I are going to be neighbors. So I found another place. And I'm like, okay, that's an opportunity that felt aligned. It felt aligned. Scary, but I don't let fear, I try not to let fear get in the way. You just kind of move it aside and just trust because we are the power.
Yes.
We manifest wherever you put that energy out there. So if I put fear, then I'm going to find something, obviously. We all know
Yes.
it's going to make me fearful. But you can go back into that 0 point, which we do. And in that 0 point, all of it moves. And I've seen this miraculously. I've seen this in the middle of a fight, physical fight between two men I was in the middle of to protect my son. And he was going to pound my son's head into the ground, into the concrete. And I was squeezed between two big men. And I knew somebody was going to get hurt. And I went to my heart, which has been my compass. My heart is my diamond. It cuts through glass. And I went to the heart and felt love immediately, just in the stillness. Everything went silent and they relaxed. And they relaxed. And my son pulled away from this man he was on the bottom of him. And time stood still. And I experienced that truly experienced saving my son's life by being able to go into that moment of tension and fighting and anger and love and hold that. So,
Yeah, I was about to ask you what you consider your personal practice to be, because I've often heard your most pivotal moments where you experience that still point, the magic that happens in that. It's like when everything just totally shifts. So, do you have a personal practice, or is it a reminder within yourself, or do you actually do something on a day-to-day basis, or just as a reminder? Can you explain that a little bit to the people that are listening to your story?
I can honestly say that I'm not that strong disciplinary routine person. I would love to be, but I'm not. I'm not. But what I do know that for my practice is every day I spend time. It might not be the same time every day, but I spend time in nature. Like I got to get my feet on the ground, put my feet in the grass. I put my feet in water. I live on water. I live around water. Even if it's in the tub, I have to have my feet in the water. Um, I have a lot of chimes and sound around me. You probably hear them now. My chimes I'm on my patio. That sound, and I don't get chimes that are just crappy chimes. You get truly tuned chimes. And I have that all the time around me. I listen to sound frequencies. I play my harp. I'm a harp that Mark beautifully made. I love my crystal harp. I love that harp. And I'll just hold it to me and I just play it. My discipline is whenever I have something big on my mind, I completely I go right to my heart. I go to silence. I go right to the compass right here and I breathe. And I breathe and I breathe and I breathe and I trust. I trust that the answers just will show up. I don't look for them. I don't pull for them. I mean, the mind, when you're not doing that, will go, well, if I do this, if I do that, this is going to happen. And I'm good at that. I'm good at seeing the big picture. Well, if I do that, that's going to happen. And, prevent this from happening. So you got to make sure you have that to happen and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the strategy of the mind can be epically confused, can't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Because if I think about right now, the news says, don't go to Mexico. It's dangerous, blah, blah, blah. You're a single woman, and I've got a lot of stuff I got to take with me. So I got 2 huge suitcases at 70 pounds each, plus a carry-on and all that. It's like you realize, what do you really need to leave for 3 months? What's important to you? I'm learning that one. My coffee.
Oh, sure.
I'm like, oh my God, my coffee beans. But then when I do that, when I go right back to that point, you'll recognize that the tension on the two ends is released. Nothing's pulling, nothing's pushing. I'm here, and then I trust. And I'll pay attention to what shows up, be it the bumblebee will start flying around me. The turkey vultures, which are about transformation for me, will literally cross over my house, or some creature, my frog will be on my window, and I see signs in everything. And I invite others to look at what the universe, yourself, is bringing to you. In the quantum physics world, we create it by putting our focus to it. It's all
Yes.
right there.
Yes.
And if we live only in the now, then when I got back from Mexico, another trip, I love Mexico, another time, and I sat down at my water here at the canal, the back of my yard. I have a dog. And I was just listening to the water. I was pouring water from my trip into the water and blessing it. And all of a sudden, these immortal ones came through my consciousness. I could see them. They were the same ones that were in this cave that I went to in a cenote in Mexico. And I had said, I have come here to die. And they asked me, what do you want to become? What do you want to die to become? That was actually about a year ago in March. And I've been on my death and rebirth since, and I'm in my resurrection now. And I talked to them about certain things, but I said, you can't get, and they were going to give it to me. And I said, no, 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 stop. You can't give it to me until you weigh my heart against a feather
Mm.
and make sure I have purity of heart. You cannot give me what I want. I didn't realize what that was going to entail and the challenges that would entail. But I called in the goddess Mat from Egypt. And I said, she has to weigh my heart first. Took me a year to work through this, to see that I am pure of heart. And that's not coming from an ego. It's a very humble thing.
Yes.
It's a lot of humility in that. It's a lot of pain and suffering too.
Yeah, you can't be pure of heart with an ego in the mix. Look at me, look at me. That's a heavy feeling. It's the humbleness and the purity of heart is very clear and purposeful.
Yeah. But when I sat out there talking, those same beings, they call themselves the immortal ones, came to me for a moment and they said this: what's not love?
Mm.
Everything you look at is love. Any experience that you think, oh, that person did this to me and I had that happen to me, and we get so angry and so caught up in the story. But if you look at it as love, what's not love, then everything that shows up in your life is love. That's all you're going to attract. Everything that's there to benefit you, to guide you, to propel you, to show you a new way. I mean, I can't be bad at my husband of 10 years. When we separated, I thought he would be the last one, especially at our age, for not being that partner that I think he should be, because he has the right, as I have the right, to live the way we want it every day. And I can't be mad at the sun for not shining at night.
It's so true. Yeah, we forget that human beings have different interpretations on life, even
Right.
when we're betrothed, even when we're walking through life side by side.
Yes. And sometimes you
Absolutely.
can walk and honor each other's path and still cohabitate. But I always feel that my life is a mission, that I have a mission. And my mission is for this earth, for humanity. I'm not a big activist, but I'm an activator.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about that because you mentioned water, and of course, I know what your heart is all about in that, but I would love to have you share it to people that are listening to you for the first time.
Well, we're on this beautiful blue planet, and we spend a lot of time on the earth, walking the earth, trudging through the earth. And that's a beautiful thing. The forest, the trees, they're all healing. The plants are all healing. They give us oxygen, but we're 75% on the water, maybe more. Our bodies are mostly water. We are water. And God, where is God? It's in everything, but it's in the water. And I feel like I come from originally a water planet, um, Mintaka. And I've always felt mermaidish. And so I believe I'm a mermaid, whatever that really is, that I come from a very the primordial beginnings, I think, started in the water. It's like a water droplet. And all the codes of everything is in the water. It stores memory. It's a fact. That is a scientific fact. Look at Dr. Emoto's work. That water consciousness it's a live consciousness. You can program it. You can see it under crystalline form, under a slide. I mean, he's been around. A lot of people know that's probably listening to your channel here. Dr. Emoto won the Pulitzer Prize for his
Yeah,
for that.
groundbreaking work. It was lovely.
Right. So the water, I have found, I mean, people are drawn to water. Some people are drawn to the mountains, right? I'm drawn to the water. And when I
Yeah.
get into the water, my practice in the water is I will completely, I call it departicleizing myself.
Mm.
I allow myself to completely separate my particles, my form, because we're just vibrating energy anyway that looks like
Yes.
matter, but it's not even connected. I allow myself to departicleize and become one with the water. And my first way of doing that is I say, here I am. Trust, you can trust me. I completely am transparent. And I do this in nature. I do this wherever I go to be invited. If I go to a pyramid, a sacred site, before I even get on it, I'm like, stand there and I'm like, can ask to be invited in? Can I be invited into your world? And I learned the hard way when I was in Guatemala, standing in a pyramid, and I didn't ask to be invited. And what I saw and what happened there was not good.
Yeah.
So that was a reminder, and I'll never forget it again. But always be asked to be invited. It's like going to someone's house. You ask to be invited in. Can I,
Yes.
you don't open the refrigerator without asking for permission. So the land and the water is the same thing. It's their own domain. It's their own world. It's their own identity. So I always ask for permission. Here I am. I have nothing to hide. I will be completely transparent. See me who I am. And then when I feel like I can and they accept me and I'm in there, I allow myself to departicleize. Now, I become one with that. And so that we can exchange for the greatest and highest good. Because some areas, some waters have been programmed with terrible things that's happened.
Yes.
Pollution and environmentally to events that's happened, war. And so I then say, well, let's become one from the primordial being of who we are, from the spark of the divine that we both are. So we recognize
Yes.
that. And so the transformation happens for the water. And if the water's holding codes for me, the purity is, and that's why I'm going to Bacalar, is so that I can receive what it wants to share with me. Because again, it wants to share with me because it recognizes that I recognize it.
Yes.
And we're having this beautiful relationship. It's like a divine marriage
Yes.
between these sacred lands. And if we turn off the news about areas and places in the world and listen to the land itself, then we really can have an incredible, honest, beautiful relationship with what's underneath all that. Because I guarantee it's sacred. Because this earth is sacred.
Yes.
This planet is sacred. So I want to reconnect so I can share it with others. So I can bring that back to others. I'll bring that water energy back and I'll bring many people there because I believe this area I'm being called to that hasn't been awakened for eons and eons and eons of time. And I was really guided to understand that it was from the primordial spark of the origin, the flame that the Christ, and again, that's probably very limiting in word, but it's one that we recognize and we chose
Sure.
to express it. But that flame, the divine Christ flame, it makes some people call it the threefold flame, and there's a reason for that. But it is the spark, that flame that's eternal. It's an eternal flame that has been promised. That it was without, it could never be altered. It can never be taken. It could never be. Now, it has been tried, and there's been a lot around this flame, barriers that can, or force fields around it, and there's been other things, but pieces of that flame have gone through many cultures that we recognize, from Egypt to the temples of Isis and
Yeah.
Hathor to Mary Magdalene, the Christ, Jesus. All of those have been pieces of this flame, but the origin of this flame is eternal. And we all have the spark inside of us. Every one of us carries that eternal flame. And we bury it and we bury it and we bury it. And they try to alter it with all the GMOs and the blah, blah, blah. But this flame, if you feed it, just a little bit every day. Just feed it, just enough. It's all it wants is just give me some attention. I don't need you to spend every day and
Yeah.
you know, spend all this money on it and all these healing practices and modalities. I don't need you
Yeah.
to do that. Just feed it. And it's in the heart. It's truly,
Yeah.
that is life force. And that's what I know the original that wants to come back really online, and it's going to activate sacred temple structures all over the planet and into the multiverse. And
Yes.
that's, I feel, is going to raise all of our consciousness and humanity and this planet. This is part of many. I'm not saying I'm doing this alone. It's many people and many ways of doing it, but mine to do is to take our rightful place within the multiverse in the councils, all the planetary councils of light, the light beings, because we are one universe and beyond the universe,
Yes.
So anyway, I don't know if that even answered or if I got too.
No, that's fantastic. That is, you and I have talked before about the multidimensional grid. You're accessing those inner grids, for bringing forth oneness consciousness and bringing it back as a new terra firma on this earth, so that people don't just have to look for it or tap into it. It becomes very obvious and prevalent, just like you're really demonstrating in your life path. You're living, breathing oneness consciousness as you're leading and listening, deeply listening to your inner guidance to make those different decisions in your life. So I just really know that the work that you're doing as you leapfrog from place to place and focus on the water, that's the most expeditious way of transforming this whole planetary grid system, in my view.
That's the water, because not only is the water in one location, but when we get rain, that water lifts its seeds other places. We're traveling all over the world through wherever we are, wherever you are, even when you shower. When you shower and you send the platinum ray through and send love to that shower, when you go to the bathroom, whatever, you really are taking that, and it's going to eventually get to the other side of the world. I used to see that with snow. When I was living in Virginia, and I remember the last snowstorm, and I'm shoveling at 2 a.m. because I love to go out there in the quiet and the snow and start to get ahead of it, and nobody's around, and just to listen to the snowfall. And I used to think, where did this originate from? Where did these snow water molecules originate from? And I would just kind of be like, wow, I'm touching, who knows where the Swiss Alps, for all I knew.
Yeah, for sure. For
And we
sure.
in water, again, we're water. We're taking it. It's the easiest way to share, because the water is programmable. It has memory. So we shared love and peace and honor and respect and all those beautiful things. Appreciation, deep appreciation. And that is the fuel right there.
Yeah.
So we talk about trust. So let's talk about gratitude and appreciation. And if we spend more time in gratitude for the little things, it's why we should pray over our food. It's why we pray. It's that deep level of gratitude. We should never pray for in a way that we don't have something or lack ever, because we're only going to get lack, and we're always going to need to pray then. But to really feel what we have already and to be so grateful for it, be a relationship instead of yearning. That energy of yearning will be repelling. It will repel you. Nobody wants to come into a field that's yearning. But if you are deeply gratified and feel that deep appreciation that I'm loved, like I'm loved, I'm really loved. And it doesn't mean you have to know the face of the lover or who's loving or what's loving, but know that you're loved, because you're going to be loved. The universe loves you.
Yes.
We're working in a field of love. That's how we create. And that's the field
Yes.
of creation. Hate and fear is a destructive energy. It breaks everything down. But appreciation is a creative energy. So it's always expanding. And we're never going to get to the end point or the end field. I call the end
Yeah.
field massage therapist. You can only go that far. We're never in that place, because the nature of creation is to create and expand. So if we think we really have a destination, we're limiting. We're never going to be there, ever. So let's
Yeah.
our attachment to the outcome.
Yeah. Go with the expansion of the universe. Go with the flow.
Right, right.
Yeah.
That's the beauty and that's the fun. That's the fun. You can always make a choice different at any given second, any different time. Yes, I committed to 3 months to the country. I don't speak the language, but my guides did say sound is a universal language. So
For
I'll be
sure.
working with a lot
For
of
sure.
sound. Yeah. Heart. You always feel somebody's heart. And so I'll communicate on that level. And I know I'll be speaking a lot better Spanish when I get back. When I can start dreaming, I'll be happy in Spanish. But, but if it doesn't work, or if I want to stay longer, like we can make our own choices all the time. That's the beauty of not feeling like we're in relationship with others, be it a family dynamic, be it a job, that when we feel like we can't do something because we're fearful of losing our job or losing our spouse or losing our friends, losing all these things, I just don't want to end my life on my deathbed having regret.
Yeah, that's so true. So I was about to ask you, what would, if as someone is listening to your story, what would be the one thing that they could do right now if they really look at their life and say, I've just got to make a change, but I don't know what to do. What would you tell them? What would you advise them? How would you go about helping them to gain the confidence in what their next choice might be?
The first thing I say is surrender. You truly have to surrender. You have to go with the deepest level of trust. For me, I felt like I had to go through a death process. Okay, I'm here to die. Willing, willing to totally surrender everything that you've created, think and trust that something better's coming. And trust that if you're so unhappy in your life, you're doing something wrong. And do you love
Yeah.
yourself enough? That's the other piece. You've got to find your worth. And we've been taught that we're not worthy. We were brought up, a lot of us were brought up, you're born a sinner, you're born not worthy. And that somebody else has to die for you. And that was a trigger for me as I was growing up. That why does somebody else have to die for me? If I'm going to die, I'm going to die to myself because I'm a very
Yeah.
independent thinker. And why should somebody else, like, I don't want a martyr. I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to feel like I owe somebody my life. So that was a stubborn child, but I think that you have to take responsibility, number one, for yourself and where you are in your life, because nobody's doing it to you. And that's the other thing. You better look in that mirror because no one or nothing is doing it to you. You have attracted it. And we can look at all the reasons we attracted instead of having shame over that, because a lot of people have shame when they look at their choices and feel such regret and cognitive dissonance. So I'm not going to look at it. I don't want to
Yeah,
look.
that's a real waste of life, isn't it?
It is. And I know people in my life that live this way. And I've
Yeah.
spoken about this for years, but there's got to be, and it comes down to what I've seen and understand is I got to love myself so much more than I love others. And you got to remember, you're not doing this to them. When you make a choice of change, you're not doing this to them. You're doing this for you. For you.
Yeah, for a lot of people, that's hard to hear in the turnaround, and yet that's what you've just said there. That's the most essential element, I think, to actually making the change is when you stop living your life for someone else, because to make someone else comfortable or whatever the case may be, and actually put the focus on yourself and let go of that guilt or shame or whatever the case may be. Let go of the programming. I mean, that's a key to the whole thing. And then you can get into the deep surrender and the trust that you're moving in the right direction as you take your inner guidance. literally.
Literally, yeah. Well, the interesting thing is that we think we're doing it for somebody else, but that's ego. Because how
Yes.
do you know that you're not preventing them from being in their divine relationship? I mean, look, I've been married 4 times. We already had this conversation. This last one, he will, because I know he will already see his future. But the other 3 loved me very much. I made the choice, and all of them are living their best lives. All 3 of them. Okay, so they're happy. And this one, he's doing exactly what he's living his best life right now. And I would have stopped them. I'm not happy. And when you're not happy and you're projecting your unhappiness on them, believe me, they're not happy.
Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah.
Right. And we're creating this codependent relationship, which really stinks. Let's stop that because it feels like crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you some people have a mission together. They do have something that they understand. We're not this kind of relationship. And that's if you both believe that and agree to that, that's comfortable for both of you because you have, let's say, a mission or a project, whatever that is, even children,
Yeah.
then that's honor that. But if you're unhappy and even the other person's unhappy, it's like you're not doing them any favor by not, first of all, speak your truth. Speak your truth. My gosh, I can't tell you how many people. Oh, no, they don't know I feel that way. What do you mean they don't know you feel that way? What do you mean? You've never said this? You've never done that? You've never whatever? You just suffer alone in it? I mean,
Yeah, that's part of the human nature tribal thing that people do, and hopefully we're all breaking free of that. Yeah,
yeah,
and really trusting.
stop stabbing yourself in the thigh.
Really good. Well, thank you, Terri. And gosh, best of luck for everything. And you're going to have a safe flight. You're going to get those 70-pound bags to the airport with ease and grace.
And I still can't get my coffee fit in there. I'm like, oh no. But I trust there'll be a good coffee shop. But thank you so much, Carol. I love you. I love what you're doing.
I love you too.
I love your mission. I know I'll see you in Mexico. I know I will.
Oh yeah. No, I'll bounce in on you. That's for sure.
Hey, I got a 2-bedroom on purpose, y'all. Come visit. Yes.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Terri.
Love you.
Take
Thank
care.
you. All right.
Thank
bye.
you. All right. Bye for now.